Reclaiming your power is not just a step, it's a profound transformation that begins with understanding who you are at your core. For too long, you may have allowed the narcissist to define your reality, dictating your emotions, thoughts, and actions. Their manipulative tactics thrive on confusion and self-doubt, leaving you questioning your value and worth. But the truth is, their power over you was never real. It was borrowed from your own unclaimed strength. Now it's time to take it back. To reclaim your power, the first thing you must do is strip away the illusions they've created about you. Narcissists are masters of distortion, crafting a narrative that serves their need for control. They might have labeled you as weak, overly emotional, or even inadequate, but those are not your truths. Those are their projections, designed to keep you small and dependent. Begin by identifying the lies you've been told about yourself. Write them down if you need to. And then challenge each one. Replace the falsehoods with affirmations of your worth. For example, if they made you feel unworthy of love, remind yourself daily that you are deserving of love, respect, and kindness. You are worth. You are deserving of love, respect, and kindness. Reclaiming your power also means stepping into a place of self-awareness. Narcissists often exploit a lack of self-understanding to manipulate their targets. When you know your values, your strengths, and your purpose, it becomes much harder for anyone to sway you. Spend time reflecting on what truly matters to you, not what they told you should matter, but what aligns with your inner truth. This might involve journaling, meditating, or seeking guidance from trusted mentors or counselors. Self-awareness is your shield against their games. It gives you clarity and direction, even in the face of their chaos. Another critical aspect of reclaiming your power is learning to detach from their approval. Narcissists thrive on creating a cycle of validation and withdrawal, keeping you hooked on their inconsistent recognition. Breaking free requires understanding that their opinion of you is not a reflection of your worth. This detachment doesn't happen overnight, but it begins with small, deliberate actions. Don't start by finding sources of validation that come from within or from supportive people in your life. Celebrate your achievements, however small, and remind yourself that your value is inherent, not something granted by another person. Celebrate that you're set. Reclaiming your power also means taking control of your emotions. Narcissists are experts at pushing buttons and triggering reactions, often using your emotional responses against you. To regain your strength, you must learn to manage your emotions without allowing them to dictate your actions. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. Instead, it's about processing them in a healthy way. When you feel anger, sadness, or frustration, take a step back. Yes, breathe deeply, count to 10, or walk away if you need to. Give yourself space to respond thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. The more you master your emotional responses, the less control the narcissist has over you. One of the most empowering steps in reclaiming your power is rediscovering your passions and interests. Narcissists often drain their victims of energy and focus, leaving little room for personal joy or growth. It's time to reverse that dynamic. Think back to the hobbies, dreams, or goals that once brought you excitement. What activities made you feel alive and fulfilled before their influence overshadowed your life? For whatever reason, distraction can be crushing. But that happens when you get away from the hive mind. Reconnect with those pursuits. Taking care of your physical and mental well-being is another cornerstone of reclaiming your power. Narcissistic relationships often take a toll on your health, leaving you drained and disconnected from your body. Start prioritizing self-care in all its forms. Exercise, nutritious food, proper sleep, and relaxation. Engage in practices that nurture your mind, like mindfulness, yoga, or therapy. The more you invest in your well-being, the stronger you'll feel, both physically and emotionally. When your energy returns, so does your ability to resist manipulation. Lastly, reclaiming your power means owning your story. Narcissists often try to rewrite your narrative, casting themselves as the hero and you as the problem. But this is your life, and you are the author. Take control of the narrative by reflecting on your experiences, learning from them, and deciding how you want to move forward. Share your story with those who support you, not as a tale of victimhood, but as a testament to your strength and resilience. In doing so, you reaffirm your agency and remind yourself that you are not defined by the past. Setting boundaries with confidence is an essential step in reclaiming control of your life and establishing your independence from the manipulative influence of a narcissist. Boundaries are not walls to shut people out, but healthy limits that define what you will and will not tolerate in your interactions. For too long, the narcissist may have ignored your needs, pushed past your limits, and made you feel as though setting boundaries was an act of defiance or selfishness. In reality, setting boundaries is one of the most powerful acts of self-respect you can undertake, and it sends a clear message that you are no longer willing to accept being controlled or undermined. You have to decide. You have to commit. The first step in setting boundaries is to understand that you are entitled to them. Many people struggle with guilt or fear when asserting their limits, especially if the narcissist has conditioned them to prioritize the narcissist's needs above their own. It's important to recognize that your needs, feelings, and well-being are just as valid as anyone else's. You have the right to protect your energy, your time, and your peace of mind. Internalizing this truth is crucial because confidence in your boundaries begins with belief in your own worth. Once you've accepted your right to set boundaries, the next step is to get clear on what those boundaries are. Take time to reflect on past interactions with the narcissist. Identify the patterns of behavior that made you feel disrespected, drained, or devalued. Perhaps they frequently interrupted your alone time, made unreasonable demands on your attention, or dismissed your feelings when you tried to express them. Pinpointing these behaviors will help you define specific boundaries that address those issues. For example, you might decide to limit the amount of time you spend with them, avoid discussing certain topics, or insist on being spoken to with respect. Clarity is key when it comes to communicating your boundaries. Ambiguity can be exploited by a narcissist, so it's essential to be specific and direct. For instance, instead of saying, "I need more space," you could say, "I will only be available for phone calls during these hours," or "I will not tolerate being spoken to in a disrespectful tone." When you communicate your boundaries, use I statements to keep the focus on your needs rather than accusing or blaming the other person. This approach not only makes your message clear, but also minimizes the chances of provoking unnecessary conflict. It's important to anticipate resistance when you set boundaries with a narcissist. They are unlikely to accept your limits willingly, as their behavior thrives on the absence of them. They may test your resolve by attempting to guilt you, manipulate you, or even escalate their behavior in an effort to regain control. Expect these tactics and prepare yourself emotionally to stand firm. Confidence in setting boundaries comes not just from stating them, but also from consistently enforcing them, stronger than ever. If you allow your boundaries to be violated without consequence, they lose their power and meaning. To maintain your boundaries, you must be willing to follow through with appropriate actions when they are crossed. This could mean reducing contact, walking away from a conversation, or, in extreme cases, removing yourself from the relationship altogether. Consequences are not about punishing the other person, but about protecting yourself and reinforcing the importance of your boundaries. For instance, if the narcissist continues to invade your privacy despite your request for space, you might decide to limit their access to certain aspects of your life, such as your home or personal information. Setting boundaries also requires you to overcome the fear of being perceived as unkind or selfish. Narcissists often weaponize this fear by accusing you of abandoning or mistreating them when you assert yourself. Remember that setting boundaries is not an act of aggression or cruelty. It is an act of self-care. It is not your responsibility to manage the narcissist's emotions or reactions. Their discomfort with your boundaries is a reflection of their inability to respect you, not a flaw in your character. Confidence in setting boundaries grows with practice. The more you assert your limits and see the positive impact on your well-being, the more empowered you will feel to continue. Start with smaller boundaries that feel manageable. One of the most empowering ways to foster emotional independence is to build self-validation. Narcissists exploit the human need for affirmation by making you feel as though their approval is the only validation that matters. To counter this, you must learn to affirm yourself. Begin by acknowledging your achievements, strengths, and qualities without waiting for someone else to do it for you. Create a daily habit of writing down 3 things you appreciate about yourself, or 3 wins from your day, no matter how small. This practice shifts your focus inward and reinforces the idea that your worth isn't contingent on anyone else's opinion. Another essential aspect of emotional independence is developing resilience to manipulation. Narcissists are skilled at using emotional triggers to provoke reactions, whether it's through criticism, blame, or guilt. To resist these tactics, practice emotional regulation techniques that help you stay grounded in the face of provocation. Deep breathing, mindfulness, and visualization are powerful tools for managing your responses. For instance, if the narcissist tries to provoke you with a cutting remark, pause before reacting. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself that their words reflect their insecurities, not your reality, and choose a measured response. Or none at all. Creating emotional boundaries is also crucial to independence. Emotional boundaries protect your inner peace by defining what you will and will not allow to affect you. For example, if the narcissist tries to draw you into unnecessary arguments or emotional drama, you can choose not to engage. This might mean physically removing yourself from the situation or simply refusing to respond to inflammatory remarks. It's not about ignoring or avoiding reality. It's about prioritizing your emotional well-being and refusing to let someone else dictate your state of mind. Emotional independence also involves separating your identity from the relationship. Narcissists often encourage codependency, making you feel as though your identity is inextricably tied to your role in their life. To reclaim your independence, focus on rediscovering who you are outside of the relationship. What are your passions, interests, and goals? What makes you happy or fulfilled? Invest time and energy in activities that bring you joy and help you reconnect with your authentic self. This could be as simple as pursuing a hobby you've neglected or as profound as exploring a new career path. The more you cultivate your sense of self, the less you'll feel defined by the narcissist's perception of you. Narcissism used incorrectly. A critical step in achieving emotional independence is learning to be comfortable with your own emotions. Narcissists often condition their targets to suppress or dismiss their feelings, making them reliant on the narcissist for emotional cues. Reclaiming your independence requires embracing your emotions without judgment. Allow yourself to feel anger, sadness, joy, or fear without trying to suppress or analyze them. Journaling can be an effective way to process your emotions, helping you gain clarity and insight into your inner world. Over time, this practice builds emotional self-reliance, reducing your need for external validation or reassurance. Self-compassion is another vital element of emotional independence. Narcissists often erode your self-esteem by highlighting your perceived flaws or mistakes, leaving you overly critical of yourself. Counteract this by practicing kindness toward yourself. When you catch yourself engaging in negative self-talk, pause and replace those thoughts with compassionate affirmations. Treat yourself with the same understanding and patience you would offer a close friend. This shift in mindset strengthens your emotional foundation, making you less susceptible to the narcissist's attempts to undermine your confidence. Finally, emotional independence requires a commitment to consistent self-care. Taking care of your physical, mental, and emotional health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Prioritize activities that nourish your body and mind, such as regular exercise, balanced nutrition, and restorative sleep. Engage in practices that nurture your spirit, whether it's spending time in nature, practicing gratitude, or connecting with supportive friends and family. Do these things to prepare. The stronger you feel on all levels, the more equipped you'll be to maintain your emotional independence. Reclaiming your sense of self is a pivotal step in breaking free from the influence of a narcissist. In a relationship with a narcissist, your identity can often become overshadowed, distorted, or diminished by their constant need for control and validation. Narcissists are adept at manipulating your sense of self-worth, subtly or overtly convincing you that your value lies in how well you serve their needs. Over time, this can erode your confidence, cloud your perception of who you truly are, and leave you feeling disconnected from your authentic self. Reclaiming your sense of self is not only an act of defiance, but also a journey of self-discovery, an empowerment that rebuilds the foundation of your identity. The first step in this process is recognizing how much of your identity has been influenced by the narcissist. Reflect on how your preferences, decisions, and behaviors have shifted to accommodate their desires. Consider whether you've suppressed certain aspects of yourself to avoid conflict, gain approval, or maintain peace. This awareness is crucial because it allows you to separate what is authentically you from what was shaped by their manipulation. For instance, you might realize that you stopped pursuing a passion, changed your communication style, or altered your appearance to fit their expectations. Identifying these patterns is the starting point for reclaiming what's been lost. A powerful way to reconnect with your true self is to revisit your values, passions, and dreams. Think back to a time before the narcissist entered your life. What were your aspirations? What activities brought you joy? What principles guided your decisions? Writing these down can serve as a tangible reminder of who you are at your core. If it's difficult to remember, start small by exploring new hobbies, interests, or experiences. Trying different things can spark a sense of curiosity and excitement that reignites your connection with your authentic self. Rebuilding self-esteem is another critical aspect of reclaiming your sense of self. Narcissists often undermine your confidence through criticism, comparison, or withholding validation, leaving you doubting your abilities and worth. Counteracting this requires intentionally nurturing your self-esteem. One effective strategy is to create a list of your strengths, achievements, and qualities that make you unique. Reflect on moments when you overcame challenges, accomplished goals, or made a positive impact. Keep this list somewhere visible and revisit it whenever self-doubt creeps in. Affirmations can also be a powerful tool. Repeating positive statements about yourself helps reprogram your mind to focus on your strengths rather than perceived shortcomings, as everyone has. Reclaiming your sense of self also involves setting new, empowering narratives about your identity. The narcissist may have imposed labels on you, calling you weak, unworthy, or incapable, and over time, these labels can start to feel like the truth. It's essential to challenge and rewrite these narratives. For example, instead of accepting the belief that you're overly sensitive, reframe it as being empathetic and emotionally attuned. Instead of viewing yourself as dependent or needy, recognize your capacity for connection and care. Reframing these labels transforms them from limiting beliefs into affirming truths that reflect your real character. Another vital component of this process is surrounding yourself with supportive people who see and value you for who you truly are. Narcissistic relationships are often isolating, making it easier for the narcissist to control your sense of self. Reconnecting with friends, family, or communities that uplift and affirm you can help rebuild your confidence and remind you of your worth. So, these relationships provide a mirror in which you can see your authentic self reflected, free from distortion or manipulation. Learning to trust yourself again is also a key part of reclaiming your sense of self. Narcissists frequently gaslight their targets, causing you to doubt your perceptions, judgments, and decisions. Rebuilding trust in yourself requires patience and practice. Start by paying attention to your instincts and feelings, even in small situations. When faced with a decision, pause and ask yourself what feels right for you, not what you think others expect. Over time, these small acts of self-trust will accumulate, strengthening your confidence in your ability to navigate life on your own terms. As you reclaim your sense of self, it's important to embrace the concept of self-compassion. The journey of rediscovery can be challenging, and there may be moments when you feel frustrated or discouraged. Be gentle with yourself, acknowledging that healing is not linear and that setbacks are a natural part of growth. Treat yourself with kindness and patience, just as you would a close friend who is learning to heal and thrive. Self-compassion creates a safe internal environment where your true self can emerge and flourish. Exploring and asserting your personal boundaries is another step in this journey. Boundaries are a reflection of your self-respect and an affirmation of your autonomy. By setting limits on how you allow others to treat you, you reinforce the message that your needs and feelings matter. Establishing and maintaining boundaries can be uncomfortable at first, especially if you've been conditioned to prioritize others over yourself. Dismiss it. However, each boundary you set is a declaration of your self-worth and a step toward reclaiming your identity. Reclaiming your sense of self also involves redefining your goals and aspirations. When entangled with a narcissist, your goals may have been sidelined, dismissed, or overshadowed by their agenda. Take time to revisit what you want for your life, independent of anyone else's influence. Set meaningful, attainable goals that align with your values and passions. and take actionable steps toward achieving them. These goals don't have to be grand or ambitious. They simply need to reflect your desires and priorities. Building a life of purpose and fulfillment independent of the narcissist is a profound journey of self-liberation and growth. It requires shifting your focus away from the toxic dynamics that once consumed your energy and attention, and instead channeling your efforts into creating a life that is meaningful, joyful, and aligned with your values. This process not only helps you heal, but also ensures that you reclaim your power and independence in a way that the narcissist can no longer undermine. The first step toward building this life is to envision what fulfillment looks like for you. For so long, your sense of direction and satisfaction may have been tied to the narcissist's approval or the volatile dynamics of the relationship. To break free, take time to reflect deeply on your desires, aspirations, and values. Ask yourself what truly matters to you and what kind of life would bring you joy and peace. This vision becomes your compass, guiding your actions and decisions as you move forward. Whether it's pursuing a career goal, cultivating meaningful relationships, or developing new skills, your vision should be rooted in what genuinely resonates with your authentic self. As you begin to construct this life, focus on developing routines and habits that support your growth and well-being. Narcissistic relationships often leave individuals feeling depleted and unbalanced, as their needs are consistently sidelined. Rebuilding your life requires prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health. Establishing routines such as regular exercise, mindfulness practices, or creative outlets creates a foundation of stability and nurtures your overall well-being. These habits not only promote healing, but also instill a sense of control and agency over your life. An essential part of this journey is rediscovering your passions and interests. Narcissists often stifle the individuality of their partners, discouraging pursuits that don't revolve around them. Now is the time to explore what excites and inspires you. Revisit hobbies you may have abandoned or try new activities that pique your curiosity. Engaging in creative endeavors, learning new skills, or volunteering for causes you care about can bring immense satisfaction and a renewed sense of purpose. These experiences not only enrich your life, but also remind you of your unique talents and abilities. Building a support system is another critical aspect of creating a life of purpose and fulfillment. Narcissistic relationships often isolate individuals from friends, family, and other sources of support, leaving them vulnerable and dependent. Reconnecting with loved ones or forming new healthy connections is vital for your emotional and social well-being. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, who see your worth, and who celebrate your growth. These relationships serve as a reminder that you are valued and appreciated for who you are, independent of the narcissist's influence. In your pursuit of purpose, consider setting goals that align with your vision and values. Start by identifying both short-term and long-term objectives that excite and challenge you. These goals should be rooted in your authentic desires, not in external expectations or validation. For example, if you've always dreamed of starting a business, advancing in your career, or traveling the world, take actionable steps toward those ambitions. Don't break them down into manageable tasks and celebrate your progress along the way. The act of setting and achieving goals reinforces your sense of agency and demonstrates that you are fully capable of creating the life you desire. As you build your life, it's important to cultivate a mindset of gratitude and mindfulness. Living with purpose involves appreciating the present moment and finding joy in the journey, not just the destination. Practice gratitude by acknowledging the positive aspects of your life, no matter how small. This shift in perspective fosters a sense of contentment and helps you focus on what truly matters. Mindfulness, on the other hand, allows you to stay present and grounded, reducing the tendency to dwell on past hurts or anxieties about the future. These practices help anchor you in your own reality, free from the distortions of the narcissistic relationship. God bless you, my appreciative heart. Another key element of building a fulfilling life is learning to celebrate your independence and autonomy. The narcissist may have made you feel as though you couldn't thrive without them, but the truth is that your strength lies within you. Embrace your ability to make decisions, take risks, and create opportunities for yourself. You cannot create opportunities for each step you take toward independence, whether it's managing your finances, making career choices, or simply enjoying your own company, is a testament to your resilience and self-sufficiency. It is also essential to redefine your relationship with success and fulfillment. In the past, the narcissist may have imposed their own definitions of these concepts, often tying them to external achievements or appearances. To build a life of purpose, you must develop your own understanding of what success means to you. This could involve prioritizing personal growth, cultivating meaningful relationships, or finding ways to contribute to your community. By aligning your definition of success with your values, you create a life that is genuinely fulfilling and resistant to external pressures. As you progress on this journey, it's important to remain patient and compassionate with yourself. Building a new life after a narcissistic relationship is not an overnight process. It's a gradual unfolding that requires persistence and self-awareness. There will be challenges and setbacks along the way, but each step forward is a victory in itself. Regardless of the objections, whether they're received or denied, this is not. Treat yourself with kindness, celebrate your achievements, and remember that the effort you're putting into creating a better life is an investment in your long-term happiness and well-being. There you go. Embracing self-love and emotional healing is a transformative journey that requires deliberate effort and a profound commitment to yourself. This process is essential for breaking free from the toxic grip of a narcissist and reclaiming your identity, your worth, and your ability to thrive. Often, people emerging from such relationships carry deep wounds, including feelings of inadequacy, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. The path to self-love and healing begins with recognizing these wounds and addressing them with compassion, patience, and courage. One of the foundational steps in this journey is acknowledging the harm caused by the narcissist and allowing yourself to process the emotions tied to that experience. Many individuals suppress their feelings, either out of a desire to move on quickly or because the narcissist invalidated their emotions over time. However, healing requires you to confront these feelings, no matter how painful or uncomfortable. Allow yourself to grieve the loss of what you thought the relationship could be and accept the reality of what it truly was. This grieving process is not a sign of weakness, but rather a necessary step in letting go of the emotional baggage that has weighed you down. As you navigate this process, it's important to develop a practice of self-compassion. Often, survivors of narcissistic relationships blame themselves for the abuse they endured, or feel shame for not recognizing the signs earlier. These self-critical thoughts can become barriers to healing. Instead, remind yourself that you did the best you could with the knowledge and resources you had at the time. Speak to yourself with the kindness and understanding you would offer a close friend in a similar situation. Self-compassion helps to counteract the negative self-talk that the narcissist may have instilled in you and lays the groundwork for rebuilding your self-esteem. Another crucial aspect of self-love is learning to set boundaries and honor them consistently. Narcissists are known for violating boundaries, often leaving their victims unsure of where they stand or feeling powerless to assert themselves. Rebuilding your sense of self involves recognizing your right to establish limits that protect your emotional and physical well-being. This might mean saying no to demands that feel overwhelming, limiting contact with people who drain your energy, or removing yourself from situations that trigger negative emotions. Practicing boundaries not only reinforces your self-worth, but also serves as a reminder that you have control over your life and choices. In the process of emotional healing, reconnecting with your inner self is essential. Narcissistic relationships often erode a person's sense of identity, leaving them feeling lost or disconnected from their true selves. Take time to rediscover who you are outside of the relationship. Reflect on your passions, values, and aspirations. Engage in activities that bring you joy, whether it's journaling, painting, hiking, or simply spending time in nature. These moments of connection with yourself help to rebuild your sense of identity and remind you of the unique qualities that make you who you are. Healing also involves addressing the deep-seated patterns and beliefs that may have made you susceptible to the narcissist's manipulation. This is not about assigning blame to yourself, but rather understanding the vulnerabilities that were exploited. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where love was conditional. Or maybe you were taught to prioritize others' needs over your own. Exploring these patterns with the help of a therapist or through self-reflection can help you break free from unhealthy cycles and establish healthier ways of relating to yourself and others. Practicing self-care is another vital component of this journey. Self-care goes beyond pampering yourself. It's about prioritizing your overall well-being in a holistic way. This includes nourishing your body with healthy food, getting enough sleep, exercising regularly, and finding ways to relax and recharge. It also means attending to your mental health by seeking therapy, joining support groups, or engaging in practices like mindfulness and meditation. By taking care of yourself in these ways, you send a powerful message to yourself and others that your well-being matters. Building a sense of self-love also involves celebrating your strengths and achievements, no matter how small they may seem. Narcissists often diminish their victims' accomplishments, leaving them feeling unworthy or incapable. Counteract this narrative by acknowledging your progress and giving yourself credit for the steps you've taken toward healing. This is how we heal you up. Whether it's getting through a challenging day, setting a boundary, or pursuing a new goal, each accomplishment is a testament to your resilience and strength. An integral part of emotional healing is cultivating forgiveness, not necessarily for the narcissist, but for yourself. Forgive yourself for the times you stayed longer than you should have, for the moments you doubted your instincts, and for any perceived mistakes you made along the way. Holding on to guilt or regret only keeps you tethered to the past. Forgiveness allows you to release the emotional burden and create space for growth and positivity in your life. Rebuilding trust in yourself is another critical step in this process. Narcissists often undermine their victims' confidence in their own judgment, leaving them feeling unsure of their decisions. Finally, embrace the idea that healing is a journey, not a destination. There will be days when you feel strong and resilient, and others when old wounds resurface. Allow yourself to experience these ups and downs without judgment. Each step you take towards self-love and healing brings you closer to a life of peace, joy, and fulfillment, free from the toxic influence of the narcissist.